Let me tell you something you may already know deep down in your heart. This life of yours, this fleeting, precious life, is yours and yours only. No one else can breathe your breath, think your thoughts, or feel your pain. No one else can carry your burdens or wipe away the invisible tears that fall when the world turns away. The path you walk must be walked alone, not in despair, but in strength. In every great story, the hero embarks on a journey alone. The Stoics understood this truth well. They did not fear solitude. They welcomed it. They saw being alone not as a curse, but as a blessing, a chance to reconnect with their true selves. The Stoics saw solitude as presence, not absence. It was in their solitude that they discovered clarity, inner strength, and a kind of freedom that no crowd could ever offer. In the quiet of solitude, there is no performance. There are no masks. There is only truth. It is in these moments, when you sit alone with yourself, that you find the most honest version of who you truly are. The world can be loud and distracting, pulling you in 1,000 directions. But silence becomes your sanctuary. It is in the stillness, in the absence of noise, that you find the courage to face who you are and who you are meant to become. The power of walking alone, the start of the journey. Imagine this. The world around you is chaotic. The news, the pressure from friends, the demands of society. They all scream for your attention. But you choose a different path. You walk alone, not out of loneliness, but out of empowerment. You choose silence to connect with your soul. And in that silence, you begin the noble work of self-discovery. This is not just philosophy. This is a call to action. This video is more than just a series of ideas. It is a fire burning inside of you, a reminder that before you can help others, before you can inspire others, you must first look within. You must walk to the stillness of your own soul, where no one can distract you, no one can tell you who to be. You must peel back the layers that life has built around you, the layers of survival, the layers of fear, and sit face to face with the one person you've been avoiding, yourself. Can you sit alone and still feel whole? Can you embrace the discomfort of being by yourself, not as a sign of weakness, but as a sign of strength? Solitude is not your enemy. It is your teacher. In the silence, you will find the lessons that comfort tries to hide. You will forge resilience and wisdom from the very furnace that discomfort creates. Solitude is where self-reliance is built, where your inner strength is awakened. 1. The power of walking alone. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The greatest waste doesn't come from chaos, but from distraction. We allow the noise of the world to drown out the whisper of our inner voice, the voice that tells us who we truly are. To walk your path alone means to commit to listening to that inner voice. It's not always easy. Solitude can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it is necessary. In the absence of external validation, you are forced to confront your own truth. What do you really want? What is it that you've been running from? Many of us distract ourselves with noise. We fill our lives with the busyness of modern life, the endless scroll of social media, the demands of the world. But in that noise, we miss the most important truth of all, who we are when no one is watching. Solitude is where you face that truth, and it can be uncomfortable. You will be forced to ask yourself, what have I been avoiding? What part of me have I not been willing to confront? The world often encourages you to seek comfort, to surround yourself with people who agree with you, who approve of you. But the path of the Stoic is different. The Stoic chooses truth. The Stoic chooses a narrow path, the path that leads inward, not outward. It is a path that demands strength, not strength in muscle, but in spirit. It requires a conviction that does not waver in the face of opinion. The Stoics walked alone, not because they wanted to be alone, but because they knew that only in solitude could they discover the deepest parts of themselves. It is in solitude that you begin to understand your true nature. It is in solitude that you strip away the mask, the layers of expectation that society has placed upon you. Are you walking the path of comfort, or are you choosing the path of truth? The path that requires you to be authentic, no matter how misunderstood you might be. This is not an easy journey, but it is the only one that will lead you to true freedom. 2. The inner citadel of strength. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress within the soul where no external force can reach you. You can be chained, beaten, or mocked, but no one can touch the fortress within unless you give them permission. To build this citadel, you must walk alone. When you rely on others to define your worth or determine your peace, you give them the keys to your inner kingdom. When they leave, as all eventually do, you are left defenseless. The absence of others becomes your collapse. Building this fortress begins by walking alone. It is in solitude that you discover who you really are, separate from the opinions and judgments of others. The world will try to tell you who you are. It will try to shape you into someone you're not, based on expectations and societal pressures. But the inner citadel is built in solitude, when you learn to stand strong in your own truth. As you walk alone, you must learn to distinguish between who you are and who others want you to be. You must create boundaries, not to shut others out, but to protect your essence. Boundaries are not walls that separate you from others. They are sacred spaces that allow you to reconnect with yourself, to recalibrate your compass, and to reawaken your power. When you are alone, you no longer question every step based on how others might perceive it. You walk for yourself, not in arrogance, but in alignment with your truth. Your inner citadel is a fortress of self-reliance. It's a place where no one can touch you, no one can hurt you, unless you allow them to. 3. The mirror of solitude. Solitude is a mirror. It shows you who you really are, not who you pretend to be, not who you show the world. When you sit alone with your thoughts, you begin to see the patterns you've been living by. You see the lies you've told yourself, the pain you buried, the dreams you've delayed. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor and Stoic philosopher, spent his life journaling, not to impress others, but to hold himself accountable. His meditations were private reflections meant for his own growth. But his thoughts, now recorded in the meditations, still resonate with us today. Solitude is where self-discovery takes place. It's in those quiet moments that you are faced with your fears, your dreams, your struggles, and your desires. The questions you've been avoiding come to the surface. You begin to see the cracks in your foundation, the places where you've been hiding, the parts of yourself you've been afraid to face. Can you sit in silence with your thoughts? Can you face yourself without running from your reflection? Solitude challenges you to confront your truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. In the mirror of solitude, you see yourself without the filters, without the distractions. You see the person you truly are, without the mask you wear for others. When you begin to look into the mirror of solitude, you start to ask deeper questions. Who am I really? What I truly want? What have I been avoiding for so long? These are the questions that lead to transformation. The transformation begins now. This journey, this path of solitude, is not for the faint of heart. It is for the brave. It is for those who are ready to confront themselves, to face the discomfort, to ask the hard questions, and to walk into the unknown with nothing but the fire of truth to guide them. As you walk alone, you will become stronger. You will become more authentic. You will become the person you were always meant to be, not defined by others, but defined by your own truth. This is the path that leads to true freedom. It is the path that leads to true peace. And it all begins with one simple choice: to walk alone. You do not have to be afraid of loneliness. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the presence of yourself. And that, my friend, is all you will ever need. Walk with courage, walk with purpose. So, as you stand at the crossroads of your journey, remember this: you are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be. You are walking your path alone, but that path is leading you to the most powerful version of yourself. The world will try to distract you, to pull you, for the strength of solitude. Imagine walking through a forest, surrounded by nothing but towering trees and the quiet hum of nature. It's peaceful, it's calm, but also there is strength in that peace. You stand alone, but you are not weak. The trees don't ask for approval. The wind doesn't need validation, and the stars don't seek attention. They simply are. This is how you must become. The power of solitude lies in your ability to stand strong without external validation. You are enough as you are. Solitude helps you realize that, over time, you begin to understand that your worth isn't defined by others' opinions. You no longer need the praise or the applause from the crowd. You walk your path, not for the recognition, but for the growth it offers you. Solitude is not a void, but a powerful force that pushes you to meet yourself, honestly, without excuses. Just like a tree that grows tall, without needing to justify its existence, you too must stand tall in your solitude. In those moments, you become unshakable, and the world around you becomes quieter. It is the only place where you can hear your soul. The opinions, distractions, and judgments fade away, leaving only you and the essence of your true being. Here, in the quiet, you begin to understand your value. It is not based on anything external, but on the foundation of your soul. In solitude, you find a deep and unshakable peace. You find your strength. Chapter 5. Rebuilding Trust with Yourself. As you continue to walk alone, you may notice something, a shift. Your thoughts become clearer. You begin to recognize patterns in your mind that were once hidden, buried beneath the noise. Your journey alone has uncovered truths about yourself that you couldn't see before. This is when the real work starts. The work of rebuilding trust with yourself. The trust you build with yourself is the most sacred trust. Every time you honor your word, every time you take a step toward your true self, you cement that trust. Each moment alone is a promise made to yourself to not abandon you, to not run from the hard truths. Start small. Set time aside each day just for yourself. Turn off all distractions. No phones, no television, just you and your breath. In those moments, you are building a relationship with the most important person in your life. You begin to see how often you've ignored your own needs in favor of other people's expectations. But now, in the stillness, you put yourself first, not out of selfishness, but out of the love and respect you owe yourself. This is where your true inner authority grows. You start to realize that you don't need to seek validation from others because you found it within yourself. You become your own guiding star, your own compass. And from that place, you can step into the world, not as someone seeking approval, but as someone centered in their own truth. 6. The rebirth of self. Walking alone can be terrifying at first. The silence feels foreign. The stillness seems overwhelming. But in time, something beautiful happens. You begin to shed old versions of yourself. You let go of the past, the habits, the fears that have held you back. You're being reborn. Every step in solitude is like a caterpillar's journey into the cocoon. The transformation isn't instant, but it is inevitable. In the solitude, you are crafting a new you, stronger, wiser, more connected to who you were always meant to be. The journey is uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the birth of something beautiful. It is the forging of your new self. This rebirth happens when you confront your fears head-on. It is when you face the discomfort and still move forward, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And when you emerge from a cocoon, you are not the same person. You are more whole, more complete, more authentic. 7. Finding your true voice. In the solitude, something magical happens. You begin to hear your own voice. For so long, the voices of others, the expectations, and the noise of the world drowned out your own truth. But now, in silence, you can hear it clearly. That voice doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It simply needs to be true. It's the quiet whisper of your soul telling you to stop, to listen, to be present. And when you finally listen, you realize that your voice is the one you should have been following all along. This is the moment of revelation. You begin to trust your own instincts. You begin to realize that you don't need anyone else to tell you who you are. The world may try to distract you, but when you found your true voice, you become unstoppable. 8. The courage to stand alone. At some point, the world will ask you to fit in, to conform, to follow the crowd. But the path of the Stoic is different. The Stoic understands that true growth comes from standing alone. It takes courage to walk your own path, especially when it feels like the world is telling you to go in a different direction. It takes courage to be misunderstood, to make choices that others might question. But this is where the true freedom lies. The courage to stand alone is the courage to be yourself. It is the courage to not need the approval of others because you already have it from yourself. The Stoics didn't fear being misunderstood. They didn't fear standing apart from the crowd. They understood that it is better to be hated for being authentic than to be loved for pretending to be something you're not. 9. The fire within. The greatest gift of solitude is not just the peace it brings, but the fire it ignites within you. That fire is your inner strength, your passion, your drive to live authentically. It's what keeps you going when the world around you is uncertain. It's what allows you to stand tall when others try to knock you down. You don't need the world to light your way. You don't need others to tell you what's possible. The fire you carry within you is strong enough to light your path, even in the darkest of times. This fire is your unshakable truth, and when you walk alone, it burns brighter than ever before. In solitude, you learn how to feed your own fire. You don't rely on others to ignite your passion. You create it from within. You nurture it, protect it, and let it guide you. And when you do, the world becomes a little less daunting because you are anchored in your own light. 10. The final step, living the truth. As you reach the final step on this journey, you realize that solitude is not a destination. It is a way of life. It is not something you do for a few moments and then forget about. It is something you live every day. The more you walk alone, the more you discover about yourself. The more you grow into the person you were always meant to be. In the end, you don't walk alone because you're running from something. You walk alone because you are running towards something greater. You are walking toward the truth of who you are. And when you live in that truth, there is nothing that can shake you, nothing that can hold you back, nothing that can stop you. Your journey of solitude has led you to the most powerful version of yourself, the person who doesn't need anyone else's approval, the person who lives in alignment with their soul. And now, with this fire within you, you are ready to go into the world, not to please others, but to live your truth. Conclusion: your journey has just begun. The path of solitude is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is the path that leads to true freedom. It is the path that allows you to live authentically, to become who you were always meant to be. As you walk this path, remember this: you are not alone. The universe is with you. The truth is within you. The fire is burning brightly inside you. Keep walking, and you will discover that the path of solitude is not a path of emptiness, but a path of endless potential. Now go and live your truth.